Correctional Services Department has decided to terminate its contract with Bloemfontein Correctional Services. It's determined BCC is not competent or suitable to continue with the concession contract. This, of course, comes after Facebook rapist Thabo Bester escaped from Mangaung prison and went on the run. Justice Department spokesperson, and also, of course, that's Chrispin Phiri, joining me now live in studio to tell us more about this. Chrispin, good afternoon. Welcome to today. It's good to have you here in studio physically. Normally we chat on Zoom nowadays. I've read your statement, short and sharp. What are its key elements?
Brother, let's just also correct something, and I saw you wanted to correct it, but in so I'm the Ministry of Justice and Correctional Services spokesperson. The ministry has got two departments. There's Justice and Constitutional Development, and then there's Correctional Services. So I speak for the ministry, which is the ministry.
The entire ministry?
Yes.
That includes Correctional Services?
That includes Correctional Services.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes. Indeed, Braden, as you've seen from the statement released by the Department of Correctional Services, we have served a notice of termination on BCC, which is the company that has conceded this contract to G4S, and we have told them that, in essence, the relationship has broken down irretrievably. We think that it cannot be severed by any other, it cannot be fixed in any other way other than a contract being terminated, and this will be effective from 90 days.
So that's what the contract provides for.
100%.
But there was a statement earlier, I think it was by your minister, Ronald Lamula, at the time, at the height of the whole matter, saying that the department must be given time to look at the contract and seek some legal advice. Has this decision come after that legal advice? Did it point in this direction?
100%, but then one of the things that we must always ensure when we act in the public interest is that we do not act just on a knee-jerk basis, but we really apply ourselves to the circumstances that are applicable. And that is what has happened. We obtained a legal opinion from a very senior counsel, and after really looking at that legal opinion quite closely, we thought that we have a reasonable basis to say to BCC that this is no longer working, and the violations that have taken place are quite substantial, and that really warrants on our side a reasonable conclusion in the public interest to terminate the contract.
What's going to happen during these 90 days of notice?
Yes, during these 90 days of notice, we anticipate that a number of transitionary discussions will be taking place with these BCC individuals or G4S. We do anticipate as well that we will receive a response from the G4S company, which may challenge some of the assertions that we make in our notice of termination, which is within their rights, and we intend to thresh those out right up until the point that we can say we are able to take over the facility. But also parallel to that, you would remember, Braden, the National Commissioner, Mr. Samuel Tobakhalid, in the parliamentary proceedings, informing parliamentarians that we are undertaking a process to ensure that we are ready to take over this facility once the contract expires. So that process will have to be sped up a bit significantly to ensure that we are able to meet, if necessary, this 90-day requirement, as well as ensure that we're able to complete this process as speedily as possible.
Yeah, so you've delivered the notice of termination, the contract, giving them 90 days. You expect a response, and they might want to fight back. After all, 45 million rand a month is quite a big chunk of money that they've been getting. Just a question that just comes up now for me in terms of this is the minister in Parliament at the time, Minister Ronald Lamula, mentioned something about the year 2026.
Yes.
Where does that come now, or is that now on the side?
Well, we've now decided to terminate the contract, but
and you're within your rights to terminate it.
That's correct. 2026 was when the contract would have expired.
Okay.
So but that's no longer in the equation. We are now at terminating the contract in light of these huge breaches that we've seen. But then, I mean, as you would agree, and I'm sure many South Africans would agree, this incident has embarrassed us wholly. And there has to be accountability. And this is one form of ensuring that there's proper accountability, and South Africans feel that indeed the government does act in their interests when required to do so.
Yeah, there are many big lessons here. Some critical voices at the time when this whole scandal erupted was the issue of, do we need our prisons, our correctional services facilities to be in private hands? Do you think the lessons out of this could be a review of your stand in terms of that as a department?
Well, Bradan, if we're honest, we did get value for money in terms of the infrastructure that we have at that correctional facility. If you read the reviews from even Constitutional Court judges, everyone agrees that indeed there's value for money here. You have high-tech security. At least that's what we thought before this incident. But you also have good facilities compared to any other correctional facility. Indeed, G4S does stand out as a very good facility in terms of infrastructure. So that's value for money. But where there's a breach, then there's a breach, and we must act accordingly with that. So with regards to the debate as to whether private companies should be given the opportunity to run correctional centers. In this case, we only had 2, and the main objective was to say, let's build this facility within a period of 10 years, and the facility was built. So there are positives. I think that's something that we must not blind ourselves to, but this incident does show that indeed there has been a significant breach, and I think we must treat it on that account alone. But we do not have an intention to continue with the public-private partnership in the future. That is why the minister has clearly said that this facility will be taken over by the department once the contract expires. That was at the time, but now
But now that takeover is going to happen immediately?
So now the takeover is going to happen much closer than 2026.
Okay, so will it happen within the 90-day notice period? Because I'm asking this, Chrispin, because you know, just using one example, when an individual decides to resign from a role, they're already out of the room. You've now served a notice of termination. G4S is thinking, we're no longer going to be here. Things might just go more laxly.
Yes, we already have correctional facility officials. We have taken over in a sense. Remember, the National Commissioner did invoke, I think it was Section 113 of the Correctional Services Act immediately when we discovered these substantial breaches. So we have correctional facility officials there running the facility from a day-to-day basis as the controller. That is one of the one of the things that we are doing currently as we speak to mitigate any other wrongdoing. But that is in place. But of course, as you would say, for a termination to fully take place, there has to be that 90-day period that falls through.
Is there an exit clause by which there's going to be some lump sum paid to G4S, and then we'll see the headlines to say government, correctional services buys G4S out of the contract?
Yeah, well, of course, because it's a termination, there may be some penalties that will have to be worked out, but equally because the contract has been breached on their side, they are liable to pay the Department of Correctional Services some substantial amounts as well. So in the end, some of these amounts will cancel themselves out, and if we can reach a particular settlement on what should be paid and is due in terms of the contract, that consideration will take place at that particular time.
Thank you very much, Chrispin, for coming in. Thank you for your time. We'll wait and see what happens over the next 90-day period as this contract with G4S is being terminated regarding the Mangaung Correctional Facility, from where Facebook, man known as a Facebook rapist, Thabo Bester, escaped in May last year, or as some people put it, just walked out of that jail with no consequences. But thankfully, he's now behind bars again, and he's standing trial.